welcome to my channel. My name is Abby. In today's video I'm going to be talking to you about my audition experience at LSMT, or in non-abbreviated terms, the London School of Musical Theatre. So I auditioned last year, so it would have been, it would have been for the 2022 September entry. I do believe that they have two different entry start dates within their timetable slash academic year. I think they have a September intake and I think they have a January intake, but my audition was in 2022 for the 2022 September intake. So I'm just going to be taking you through the different stages and what happened and what I auditioned with, my experience, any hints or tips that I've learned from that audition experience, and hopefully it will help any of you if you are looking to audition for LSMT or you want to know more, whatever. I'm here to give you the goods. So the first thing that you have to do when you want to audition for LSMT is you go onto their website directly and you fill out their online application form. Unlike some other drama schools and conservatoires where you have to go through UCAS or whatnot, this is a standalone drama school, so everything goes through them directly. And I think at the time I paid £10 for my application, so for a drama school audition that is so reasonable. That is like nothing compared to some of the prices of an audition out there these days. So I'm under the impression that everybody that submits an online application has this processed and is asked to submit a self-tape audition for their first round. So I don't think that there's any cuts at this point. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think everybody who applies gets a first round self-tape audition. So just over a week after I applied online, I received an email with the self-tape audition details. And I think it's still the same now as it was when I did it. I mean, I only just did it last year, so it's not like I'm super outdated or anything like that, but I checked on the website just to make sure that it was all the same, but I think it is. So I had to submit 2 contrasting songs. It didn't say musical theatre songs, just 2 contrasting songs, and it was really easy to submit these songs. What they suggested was best was that you upload them to YouTube and that you put them as an unlisted link, and then you can copy that unlisted link and send that to them. So that's how they suggested you submit it, which is, you know, nothing too stressful, pretty easy, simple. Everybody's graduating today, so I'm getting a lot of people walking past the window, having a little gander in, say hello to everyone, hope you're having a good day. So my deadline to submit my songs was 11 days from when they'd sent me the email with the details in of what I had to submit, which I think was a really odd number. And I don't know if that was because I'd maybe submitted my application late and that was their like general cut-off date of when they would look at them all. I don't know whether they just wait until they get all of them and then they look at them all together and then they select from there, or whether that's just the general amount of days that they give people. I don't know, but just thought you should know that mine was 11 days. So in the self-tape audition email information, there's loads of magpies. Sorry, superstition. From the information that they provided for the self-tape, they didn't say whether they wanted you to introduce the songs, whether they wanted an ident, anything like that. So I took it upon myself to introduce myself at the beginning of the first song that I presented, but you could probably do it in both videos because I did 2 separate videos for the 2 different songs. So I introduced myself and I said what song I was singing and what musical it was from. And then I did a nice little fade into the song itself, so that it was all like, you know, as professional and clean cut as I could make it, type of thing. And I also think introducing yourself and the song with your own words and your own voice gives you an opportunity to portray a little bit of your personality, and it also lets them hear what your speaking voice is like, what your accent is like. So it gives like a tiny wee little piece of who you are when you're not singing. So for my 2 contrasting songs, I chose a contemporary legit song and a classical legit pre-1965 song as my 2 contrasts, because this was kind of the vibe with all the rest of my drama school auditions. This is kind of what they wanted to see. This is like the typical thing that you will see in a musical theatre audition, is like, can we have a contemporary and can we have a legit? So I kind of did that for ease, so that I wasn't learning so many songs and stressing myself out. So that's probably a good idea if you've got a few auditions that you're doing. You know, try and work smart, not hard. Work hard obviously, but work smart and not too hard when you don't need to. I chose, for my contemporary legit type of song, I chose A Change in Me from Beauty and the Beast. And for my legit song, I chose Till There Was You from The Music Man. Now, I don't think these songs are too horrendous. Well, they're not horrendous full stop, but I don't think they're too bad for me, for knowing what I knew then. But knowing what I know now, having done a year of drama school already, I would definitely change my choices. Obviously, I'm going to say that, like, I've learnt a lot, but I think I made, you know, quite alright choices for the time, but definitely could have made better. But knowing what I knew then, that was the best that I could do, so I'm not mad at myself. But just in case you kind of want some hints and tips from my hindsight and what I've learnt from those song choices, I actually really like A Change in Me from Beauty and the Beast. Like, I think that will stay in my rep, my Disney rep, because it's a great song. And it is also a great alternative to Home, which is in Beauty and the Beast, which I think is much more popular and more done. But I think Beauty and the Beast was about to start a huge, expensive UK tour, and it was being promoted and everything, which is probably where I got the idea from, because I was struggling for like contemporary songs that like I loved and that I felt super comfortable doing and everything like that. So when that popped into my head, I was like, I latched on. So a hot tip from me is to try not to sing a song from a musical that is being put on in the West End currently, or that is on a UK tour, because you will be compared to the person who is being paid every night to sing that song in front of hundreds of people, and you just don't want to put that pressure on yourself. For me, Beauty and the Beast wasn't on at that exact time, so it wasn't too bad, but it was in the air, you know. So that's like a general tip in terms of songs as an umbrella. But for me and that song, more directly or intimately or specifically, I think something with a bit more storytelling and a bit more of a journey through the song, either through storytelling or through musicality, could have and would have been better for me. But she didn't know these things at the time, and she's been learning. So you know what, I think, you know, it was an alright song, and I did it well. And again, with Till There Was You, I think it's a great song, love the Music Man, and I think it's a great alternative to Goodnight My Someone, which is, I would say, probably more popular and more overdone from the same musical. But I just don't think that I loved the song, and I think that had an effect on how I learnt it, because I don't think, because I didn't love it, I didn't have the effort to learn it thoroughly and properly, like musically. So that's my fault for picking something that was, you know, not super there for me. And for me personally, I think it's a beautiful ballad to sing, and you know, if you wanna sing a song and that's your thing, go for it. But I would have enjoyed a song where I could get my acting chops more around it, and I think with it being used as an audition song and therefore it's standalone, you don't have the rest of the musical to develop some context and, you know, feel in that moment as that character. I think as a standalone audition song, I think it's a difficult one to get your acting chops around without it just being a beautiful ballad. But maybe that's a challenge for me, for future me, make it work as a standalone audition song. But hey, choices. So for the next stage, it had been around 5 days after I'd submitted my videos that I got an email inviting me for a recall audition in person. In the recall audition letter, it says basically to bring the sheet music from your original online audition, to sing for the panel, prepare a contemporary monologue post 1900. Doesn't say specifically whether it has to be British or American or whatever like that, so you can basically pick whatever you want. That you might be asked to read a passage of text on the day, and to dress for the singing acting audition first, and then later there will be a dance call audition, so wear suitable clothes. And yeah, that's what it said in my in-person audition recall letter. So the day came, I got there, and the location of the building itself is so central London, like you are in amongst the thick of it, which is so great. Like, I just love London. I just love it. Love it. So when you get there, you know, you feel like you live in the drama school dream. Like, it's just nice. And the building itself is so interesting. Like, it sticks out, not like a sore thumb because that makes it sound bad, but it sticks out as something that's just is different along the street, because it's got like an oldie worldy castle-y vibe. It's got this like big impressive door of like a castle, and it's just cool, you know. So I went in, and this was kind of in amongst when COVID was still a thing, but it was drippling, that's not a word, you know, it was drizzling away slowly but surely. So it was like still in the air, we're still worried about it, but like not so we can't see each other in person. So when I got there, it was very quiet in the building. I think they only had people in the building that were required, so it wasn't like I went in and there was a big waiting room of people. It was like I went in, there was a student helper there to greet me, and they took me through to the private singing room that they have there. I don't know how many they have, but it was a private singing room, so that I could warm up or chill or whatever I wanted to do, because there was still somebody in the waiting room and there was somebody in the audition room. So I think they had like one audition-y person like in each room at all times, so we weren't all like... So yeah, I was in there not for very long, and then the helper then took me upstairs into what I believe is like the common room, the kitchen, the lunchroom, whatever, where there was another student helper, and that was kind of like the official waiting room before I went into the audition room. So at this point there was a selection of extracts of written text or prose that you had to choose one of. Does that sentence make sense? There was a load of extracts of texts and you had to choose one for a sight reading exercise to do in the audition room. I had completely forgotten that sight reading was going to be a thing on the day, so this was a surprise to me, which is odd because I am so anal about reading information and making sure that I have tick 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 got everything sorted, everything organised. So that little sentence in the email, in the letter, had just flew right over my head. So I was a bit startled by this when the second student helper was like, yeah, pick one. There were too many extracts that were too big for you to be able to read them all and pick the best one. I don't really think there was a best one because there was just so many. And the way that she was just like, just pick one, it doesn't matter, pick anyone. It felt like it wasn't like a choice thing. It was just like, honestly, just pick it up and we want to just see you sight read it in the room, and we don't want you to have like read it too much or analysed it too much or thought about how you're going to speak it too much in the room, because then otherwise it wouldn't be sight reading, would it? So they just want you to pick a random one and go for it. So I remember like scan reading a few, and then I saw one which had the name Mr. Bumble in it, and I was like, Oliver Twist, that's mine. So it kind of made me feel a bit at ease that I knew what it was from. So I kind of, you know, I had no idea where in the text it was from because it's huge, and I haven't actually read Oliver Twist, but you know, we know the musical, we can pick things up. So it was good that I kind of knew where it was from, so I kind of had the vibe of it. Hilarious if it wasn't actually from Oliver Twist. That would have been really funny. But also I remember seeing that the piece had speech in it, and I was thinking, I want to do a one that has speech in it because then you can be really animated with your voice, you can put on different voices, you can go for it a bit more, I feel, than with just a solid block of like maybe descriptive text. For me, that's what I was drawn to anyway, because I thought I can put a little bit of differentiation in there with speech. So maybe that's a little tip. If you go and you have to do a sight reading passage, try and look for one with some speech in it. If you are comfortable with, you know, bringing it to life, putting on different voices, because I had to do Mr. Bumble's voice, and then I think it was the lady as well, and I've forgotten what her name is now. I maybe even had to do Oliver's voice as well. Hilarious. But yeah, gives you the chance to just bring some energy to the text, some personality, and some different vocal choices as well. So I chose my piece, and then I sat with the student helper for a bit and we had a chat, which was lovely, and it was quite calm, it was really chill. And then the last auditionee came out, and then it was my turn to go in. So she went in, and on the panel there was the principal of the school, the head of acting, and the head of music. So I had my folder with me which had my 2 original songs in that I had originally sang, but by this point it had been some time since my original audition, so I had some other pieces of music in there that I was like, ooh, I kind of want these to be in here because I would like you to pick them. I had just kind of, by this point, I'd kind of gone off my original choices and I'd made other choices for other drama schools. So by this point I was like, maybe you want something different. I'm just going to present them to you along with these other two that you originally saw, but I would like you to maybe see something different. But I will just say, make sure that whatever you have in that folder that you show to them, that you bring to that audition, make sure you know it well, and know it well enough that you are comfortable to perform it. So, you know, if you've got your folder and it's your like working folder, take out anything before you go to that audition that you're working on, that you don't know the words to, that you don't know the notes to, that you don't know well enough that you could stand there without looking at it and you could perform it with acting and as the whole package. Just make sure that that's the case, because you don't want to get tripped up. So the head of music had a little flick through my folder and they could have asked me to sing anything, because I don't think that they had a note in front of them of what I had originally sang. I'm not sure. I can't remember if they could remember what I originally sang or not. But you know, the way that he was flicking through the file to look through the different songs made me think that they could choose anything that was in there. So if you only want to sing the 2 songs that you sung originally, just bring the 2 songs and then they have no choice. But I think I ended up singing excerpts from the 2 songs that I had originally sung anyway, because that's just what they wanted to hear. They were like, oh yeah, this is a nice mixture, yeah, let's go for these 2, I like this. So that's what I did. So then after that I did my monologue, and I did a monologue from Red Car Blue Car by Jack Thorne, who is a British playwright, and in hindsight I would not choose to do this monologue again, because I definitely gotten wrapped up in what's an overdone monologue and what are they gonna have seen loads, and even though I was drawn to other monologues like in a way bigger way, I thought I'd be clever and I thought I'd do an underdone monologue without really thinking about the monologue as a whole, the storytelling of the monologue as a whole, the journey of the monologue and what it could do for me and show of me as an actor. So, hot tip, try not to overthink about what's overdone as a monologue too much and trying to be different. And honestly, just pick the one that you can do best, that has a journey through it that you can show, and that just one that shows off your acting ability and what you do best. I think I was thinking there was going to be a lot of dramatic, serious monologues, and I was very much like, well, I want to be different and I want to stand out, so I'm going to do a comedy and I'm going to do one that I've never heard anybody else do before. But at the end of the day, you don't know what anybody else is going to bring. And in one of my other auditions, which I'll do a video on, I did a monologue that I thought was gonna be overdone. I thought, you know, somebody might have it in their rep that they were gonna bring out, and loads of people afterwards asked me, what was that monologue from? It was really good, like I really enjoyed that, where is that from? Like, people didn't even know it. So that's when, you know, I'd reassessed and I'd been like, okay, let's do a different one. Let's do the one that you want to do, actually, regardless of whether you think it's overdone or well known or whatever. So I'll tell that story and what that was in a different video, so stay tuned for that one. Hello. But yeah, do not worry about what other people are going to bring, because at the end of the day it doesn't matter. You do you and you do what you do best, because at the end of the day in this job, for a role, that panel is gonna see a certain monologue or a certain song or a certain dance done loads of times by different people. So you just can't really be bothered about whether somebody else is going to do the same thing as you. I get it, like you want to be different, you want to stand out, blah 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 blah, but at the end of the day casting panels are gonna see the same thing over and over and over and over and over and over again, and especially a drama school audition panel is gonna have seen everything loads of times because they see so many different people and they do so many auditions. So just do not worry about it and do what works for you best. That is my biggest tip for you auditioners out there. Woo! Getting passionate. It was still a fun monologue. It was a fun monologue, but it just wasn't the best monologue for me to do. And I don't really think it was a great audition monologue either. Yeah, just wasn't a great choice on my behalf. After that, I read through the prose extract. I gave it my best speaking, verse and prose, and then I was done. And that was that. So then I had a bit of time to go away from the building. They had a few more people to see in terms of singing and acting and stuff before the dance round. So when I returned, I assume that I met everybody who had auditioned in that day. I would say that there were probably about 20 people, around 15 girls and maybe 5 boys. So the dance round lasted for around an hour, and they had an external industry professional come in and take that dance round. So it was just her for the majority of it, and then the panel came in at the end to watch the 2 routines that we did. So the dance round started with a thorough warm-up. At this point, you know, I would say always be on your best behaviour, performance, because you don't know what she's going to report back. It was just her in the room. We were just doing a warm-up, but, you know, give it your all, because, you know, she will be watching, even though it is a warm-up. But don't stress about it, but, like, just, you know, be aware that the whole time this is an audition context and anybody could report back anything. Like, if you're not really asked about the warm-up because you think that the panel's not there watching, like, don't be fooled, because she is on the panel, or whoever is the dance teacher at the time is on the panel and will be taking note of everything. So it was a thorough warm-up. I remember being sweaty, which was nice. I liked it a lot. Then we moved on to a dance routine that was more technical, that travelled across the floor. I can't remember what was specifically in it, but I do know that this one was more technical, what you might expect, like leaps, pirouettes, travelling steps, things like that. Nothing crazy. Technically solid, but nothing crazy. So you've got this. And then after that routine, we learned a fun, personality, performance-driven dance number. And it was something really unexpected. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was something like hip-hop, R&B, calypso type of music. I mean, it will have been like MT based, but it wasn't like typical MT jazz type of thing. I remember thinking, this is a style I've not done much of, but it was fun, and they really just wanted to see you sell that routine. Sell it. So you learnt those 2, one after the other, and then the panel came in and watched you do both. So whilst you're learning the performance routine, just make sure that technical routine is just ticking away in your brain and you don't lose it. So I think that I did the technical routine once, and I think I did the performance routine twice, and they alternated the lines of like who was forward and who was back. And that was it. They went off to discuss everything and we got to go home. So I actually heard the outcome of my recall 2 days after I had been for the recall. So it's not an agonising wait too much. 2 days I think is pretty good. And I did get offered a place, so that was wonderful. Obviously if you follow me on my channel then you'll know I decided to go elsewhere, but that was the whole thing in a nutshell. So yeah, would definitely recommend it, and you just have to go and see if it's your thing. So hopefully I haven't whittled on for too long. I have a feeling I have. You know I like to give the information, you know I like to be precise and informative and detailed. What are you gonna do? So this is the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give it a like and subscribe, and if you have any questions or queries about this video, my experience, anything like that, let me know and I shall get back to you, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.